is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
The Chiefs are headed back to a 6th straight AFC Championship, and we're here with another edition of The Breakdown to dive into all of it. I'm Matt Hamilton. That's Chase Daniel. And Chase, just another unbelievable win from the Chiefs over the Bills. Correct me if watching Mahomes, I'm more impressed with what Mahomes has done in these playoffs than I think anything we've seen out of him before. He's quarterbacking on another level right now. I know the numbers aren't what we've seen from him in the past, but just down to down, I'm blown away by what I'm seeing out of him right now.
Yeah, he's playing extremely efficient right now, and I think that's the biggest thing for this entire offense is the number one thing that I noticed within really the last 3 games of the regular season and then the Miami game and the Buffalo game, obviously in the playoffs, where they're not rotating receivers anymore. They're letting Rashee Rice, Justin Watson, MVS, and Kelsey just take the bulk of snaps. And when one of them needs a breather or so, tap their head, come out, go back in. And I think for the growth of Rashee Rice, who quite honestly since week 12 has probably played the best out of any receiver other than a few in the entire NFL. So I think his growth has really made this team a dangerous team offensively too. And when you look at Mahomes, like, I just don't get it. Like, people have been trying to say that he is not the king. And some people are talking about Josh Allen. Is he better? Is Lamar Jackson better? Guys, you're talking about Patrick Mahomes here. Like, you're talking about the best in the world at what he does. And look, I watched his interview with Nate Burleson last week before the game, and he said he enjoyed playing the villain the most when he goes on to an opposing field's home field and just rips their heart out, man. And that's exactly what you saw with him in this game. Look, they only had 45 offensive plays, which is not very much. And the whole thing behind Buffalo running the ball, they ran for 77 yards in the first quarter. They ran for 182 yards in the game, was to try and play keep away for Patrick Mahomes. Well, that's great, but if you are Patrick Mahomes, you're averaging 7.7 yards a play, and you're averaging 0.6 points per play, which is insane. They should have had 34, right? It was 27. McCole Hardman, 2 touches, 2 fumbles. Not good. The touchback rule, we can get into that if you want, but it's insane to me that how well they're playing right now. And quite honestly, even Matt Nagy said it, look, we're playing our best ball right now. And it's literally because we're not rotating guys, and guys are getting more comfortable. Andy Reid and Matt Nagy, by far, it was their best offensive game plan. You saw them use a lot of 13 personnel, which I thought was good because Buffalo was like traditionally just a nickel team. And honestly, they were out of linebackers. They started the game with 4 linebackers. They were down to 3 through the entire game. It was the least amount of linebackers that head coach Sean McDermott had ever dressed in a game before. So it was a sight to see. We got to see if they can keep it up.
Yeah, and to your point about Mahomes enjoying playing the villain, that shot of him right before, while the Bills are driving down, right before the missed field goal, whether that field goal went in or not, that look on his face told me everything I needed to know. He was ready to come and lead that offense right back down the field. But no, it's a great point about the receivers and Mahomes just not putting the ball in harm's way at all. That's been an issue this year at points. This was the first time he's gone back-to-back games without a turnover all season. He's taking what's there. He's making the right reads, making the right throws, and he's just been as locked in as I've ever seen him. Let's dig into it a little bit here on this tape because it's impressive, and you got to give a lot of credit to Andy Reid and Nagy too for the play design, knowing that the Bills are down linebackers, that they're shorthanded, coming up with designs like this for Travis Kelce. What stood out to you here?
Yeah, I mean, look, you got Travis Kelce in the backfield. That's the biggest thing for me. I'm like, hey, it's like this T formation, old school, West Coast. Everything screams run. And this is the biggest thing. It's sometimes hard against this Buffalo defense, or has been hard to get chunk plays because they play in this too high look all the time. Well, when you hide Travis Kelce in the backfield, you have a really good play fake. It's going to get the eyes of those linebackers to step up. And when this play rolls right here, you're going to be able to see like, hey, Travis Kelce is going to insert through the B gap, which is wild. And you see this linebacker coming up, and they're going back to this like too high man, like one high look right here, which is interesting because this guy is the flat defender. And then you get Travis Kelce one-on-one with AJ Klein. Love him, play with him in New Orleans, but that's a mismatch every single time. And so this is the way they were able, when I say they, Matt Nagy and Andy Reid were able to get these chunk plays, because look, when you're averaging 7 yards a completion, or 7 yards a play, like, you have to have these chunk plays. And when you are playing some type of man-to-man coverage, usually it's 42 that's covering Travis Kelce, man. But when you insert him and you swing the back, they have to switch responsibilities. And obviously the eye discipline right here by AJ Klein is not the best, because he's looking in the backfield, and he should be, because the play fake was excellent. And I thought something that wasn't talked about the entire game, or really since the game's been played, is how well the offensive line played. Look, I think they struggled at times at the tackle situation, but they limited mistakes. They were able to let Mahomes step up in the pocket, and plays like this happened because of that.
Yeah, that's a great point. He wasn't under a lot of duress all day. And yeah, the ability to step up here. And again, I know this, Kelce's open. He beats the linebacker, but still the timing, the ball placement, the accuracy, and just a flick of the wrist. He makes it look so easy, but still everything. He's doing everything to perfection right now. He really is.
Yeah, it's impressive to watch. And then, like, I was wondering too when Travis Kelce was going to step up, because he had been, I think his knee was probably bothering him more than he let on. And I do think that these are the type of games where you can move Travis Kelce around, find the mismatches, which you saw a couple different ways. I thought that's what Matt Nagy and Andy Reid did a really good job at this game.
Absolutely. And it continued as we saw as this game progressed. And it was a big game for Kelce, the biggest game we've seen from him in a while. And, that touchdown, clear little breakdown in coverage here, but again, some great play design. What jumped out to you on this one?
Well, I don't know, Matt, if it's a breakdown in coverage versus just the scheme attack the coverage perfectly, because look, they're in a single high coverage. Buffalo is right here. And I've run this play since I came into the league. It's called Olay. It's a deep out with a corner on top and a little turn route from the inside. So you're going to have McCole Hardman motion over. They're going to hide the trips bunch. Love that. He's got the 8 to 10 yard out route. Okay, in cover 3, in bunt situations, they zone it off. Okay, this is what they're doing. And you're going to see the corner zone it off, but he also has number 1 to the flat. But when that flat person is more than 5 yards down the field, he has him. So what does Andy Reid do and Matt Nagy? They run a 10-yard out route where the corner has to jump up and grab him. And because it's a bunch situation, the flat defender and the hook curl to that bunch side, they zone it off. So when you zone it off, you're going to have a free runner. And it's not like you're running a seam where this backside free safety can get over to, which they sort of want you to do. They're running a corner. So genius situation. I've hit this multiple times in practice, because it is actually a perfect play for this cover 3 where they man it up in the inside. You run a deep enough out route. Mahomes is looking the out route down. You have to, as a corner, respect that. And then when you get a guy wide open, most people and most mere mortals will think, hey, that's a coverage breakdown. I think this is an outstanding play design. That's more of what I've seen, because I've seen this type of thing happen before, and it's hard to get this wide open in the NFL. But when you have a perfect play call, a perfect scheme, and you see them trying to understand just a simple motion to a 3-by-1 bunch. I mean, this was a master class of a play design by Andy Reid.
Yeah, especially with the free safety, you see him there. He's all the way almost to the numbers on the other side. It's just absolutely perfectly designed. And so just for our edification purposes here, so Jordan Poyer is the one that gets hands on Kelce there. You see him come off on that underneath route. He's not, so you don't want him carrying Kelce up the field. He's by what he's taught in this coverage, he is supposed to look underneath first.
That's exactly right. So when they get to a trips bunch formation, they have a so let's just go back. The way that Buffalo originally plays cover 3 is if it's a 2-by-2 or a 3-by-1 spread out, there's some man concepts in that. That's sort of what the league is going to. They underneath, they zone off the linebackers with the back and tight end if they cross. But everyone else plays like man, especially if it's just 3 vertical or 4 vertical, they play like man. The problem is when you get in this, you start in a 2-by-2 snug alignment and you motion over to a 3-by-1 alignment. Okay. What they're doing here is they're making a sky call. Sky means we have no choice but to zone off because we're in cover 3. We're not in cover 1. We have to zone off this trips bunch formation. Why do we have to zone off the trips bunch formation? There's so many different ways you can beat man out of this trips bunch. They're clearly not playing man. So Jordan Poyer does the right job when he actually comes and he grabs that turn route because that is the hook curl defender. The hook curl defender has this when they zone it off. And so, look, it's just you're putting the corner to the field in a mismatch. You have to be able to either choose the out route or choose the corner route. So Jordan Poyer is right. And you see the flat defender. The flat defender has to get underneath this out route to the field. If that were the case, maybe the corner doesn't jump this out route. But this is exactly how they should play it.
That is beautiful stuff from Andy Reid and Nagy. And that wasn't the end of it either. We got one more play for you here. Some great stuff from Mahomes and MVS. MVS only had 2 catches on the day, but they were both massive, both led to touchdowns. What stood out to you on this one?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is sort of a broken down play. I mean, it is a broken down play. What they're doing is they're bringing internal cross dog. They're blitzing the 2 inside backers. They're dropping the 2 outside defensive ends. But these backers are also wrapping around to the running back side. Mahomes sees that. He's able to step up. And then MVS, look, they're playing man-to-man coverage. He beats them. He has like a high post route, which is not even in the coverage or not even in the read in this situation. And so when he does this, Mahomes just steps up. And honestly, the throw is insane. His body's parallel to the line of scrimmage. He's the best at these funny body throws. Like, I don't even know what Kelsey's doing because quite honestly, I watched this multiple times when I broke it down, and I think he's supposed to go to the corner. But Kelsey's just being Kelsey. MVS comes inside, has a post route. Like, I think it's a flat post corner over here, which is insane because the post route gets pushed so far inside. So MVS is like, hey, I'm open. 31's trying to chase him, and you got this little dagger route on the backside. So Kelsey's doing Kelsey's thing. Mahomes is the biggest thing. There's 2 unblocked rushers off the edge. He steps up, and for some reason, he's like, oh, the post route should be outside, but no, he's inside, so I guess I should throw it to him. The throw is what is insane here. So this is just these off, like Kelter throws, these off balance throws that Mahomes is so good at. The fact he is able to get that much like juice on it for the throw is what's most impressive to me.
Yeah, because if that ball doesn't have a ton of juice on it, MVS is getting decleated and that ball's coming out. He has to zip it in there on a line. He looks like Derek Jeter there, like airborne, just ripping that thing over the middle. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, what's funny to me is like Kelsey's just doing his own thing. Like, I should have a corner route, but I'm just going to turn around. The thing is, like, this is the only one that's open on the play. They have everything covered, so it's got to be really, really, really frustrating for Sean McDermott when you pretty much have the perfect play call on, you're blitzing them, you're dropping guys in the coverage, and you still have a massive explosive play.
And that's life against Patrick Mahomes, and that's what makes him so impossible. And the Chiefs the Chiefs have a matchup this weekend against a guy who is similar in that way. You can do everything right against Lamar Jackson, and he can still find ways to beat you and drive you crazy. So as we look ahead to this, we'll talk a little bit more Chiefs, but first, just Lamar Jackson, the way he's playing right now, the season that he's had, what's going to be the key for the Chiefs to keep him under control?
I mean, look, I watched the entire Ravens game on all 22, broke down Lamar Jackson, and I thought Lamar Jackson played really well. And the biggest thing that I think I saw from him was like his evolution as a passer this season has been talked about and has been written about. And I agree with it. And I think they finally have some receivers there in Baltimore that are making plays. Zay Flowers, OBJ, Bateman's making some plays, Isaiah Likely. They might have Mark Andrews back. So they're loaded talent-wise. Obviously, they're the number 1 rushing team in the league, and by a pretty large margin. That's Buffalo ball. But I think the biggest thing that stood out to me here is Lamar really, if you really look at it, other than the jump throw to Isaiah Likely, he didn't make any throws that made you like stand up out of your seat and go, oh my gosh, like that's wild. Like he made the routine throws. Now there was a throw over the middle to OBJ that he fitted in that I thought was awesome. But when you actually break it down and watch it, his throwing in this game didn't really stand out. It just looked like a really good NFL quarterback, which he is. He's great, in fact. The thing that separates him is when things break down, this dude is on another level, and that is how he wrecks game plans. So my biggest thing for Steve Spagnuolo is, look, you're probably going to have the stuff downfield covered. They have a really good scheme, coverage scheme. You have to find a way to keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket. Like you cannot run by, if you're edge rushers, you cannot run by Lamar Jackson. He will hurt you. You cannot have Lamar Jackson step. You have to have a spy on Lamar Jackson, because if he gets around Chris Jones in the middle and the edge rushers on the outside are doing their job containing him, like there were multiple times in this Houston Texans game that Houston had everything covered, and then Lamar will rip off a 20-yard run, or Lamar will rip off a 5-yard run, but it's 3rd and 5 and it's a first down, and he keeps the drives going on, and then they wear you out on the run game. That's the biggest thing that I saw. Like, I wasn't overly impressed with his throwing in this Houston game because he just made the routine throws. He made some splash throws here and there. It was his legs that made him dangerous.
Yeah, and you're right. I thought Houston did a pretty good job defensively taking away what the Ravens wanted to do. The initial reads weren't always there for him, and he had to hang around and just make something happen. Are you concerned at all with the way we saw the Bills run on this Chiefs front? We haven't really seen anybody do that consistently all year, and obviously we know the Ravens are capable of doing that up front as well.
Yeah, I mean, you should be scared if you're Chiefs fans. I mean, look, the Ravens are the best rushing offense in the NFL. They have been really since Lamar has been there. That's their bread and butter. It's not like Lamar Jackson throwing the ball 50 times in the game. When he gets part of the run game, that's when it gets scary. The RPOs, really just the under center, all the counter, all the misdirection that they run. And look, the Bills ran for 180 some odd yards against the Chiefs. And the Chiefs have been averaging, giving up like 113, 114 rushing yards per game, which is middle of the pack. It's not great. It's not horrible. And so that's another thing that the Bills actually had a lot of success at in the first half. When you run the ball like that and you run it at a rate like Buffalo did, or like Lamar and the Ravens will try to do against that defense, is you limit possessions for Patrick Mahomes. And when you limit possessions for Patrick Mahomes, it forces Mahomes to be perfect on those possessions that he does get. So I think that's what you're going to get a huge, heavy dose of. They're going to try to shorten the game. And look, on the other side of the ball too, I mean, the Ravens have the number 1 scoring defense in all of the NFL. They're averaging giving up 16 points a game. I mean, which is like, it's an insane number. It's one of the lower numbers we've seen. And I sort of liken their defense. It's hard to say it, but the 2000 Ravens. I mean, the Ravens defense, 2000 Ravens defense was better. But when you watch this Ravens defense and you break down this Ravens defense on what they are actually doing, nothing's open. Like, nothing is open. So I expect them. Look, it's going to be a great game. And in a game like this, you're 1 win away from the Super Bowl. You're going to pull out all the stops, obviously.
Yeah, and those pressures too that Mike McDonald draws up. It's hard to tell who's coming, who's dropping. It's a nightmare to try to pick up some of that stuff. So Mahomes definitely going to have his work cut out for him from that standpoint. How do you think we see? Because we've seen Baltimore. They're not a pure zone team, pure man team. They do mix things up coverage wise. Do you think we try to see them? We've seen teams have success manning up this Chiefs receiving core. Do you think we see Baltimore go with a heavier man approach?
Yeah, I think you're going to see more man than you probably would think against this Raven, because they're just so good. I mean, Marlon Humphrey coming back, I think, and then the inside linebackers like Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith are probably the best 1-2 punch, maybe outside Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner for San Fran. So when you have those guys rolling like that, it's going to be tough. That's what they did to Houston. They just came up and pressed them a few times. And look, Mike McDonald, the pressure package is intense. It is crazy, but they're only blitzing like at a rate that's 5th lowest in the NFL. So they don't blitz a lot. Now their pressure percentage is number 1 in the NFL. So they're getting pressure with 3 and 4 guys. But when they do bring it, it's 2nd and long, it's 3rd and 3rd down package. They're getting home because it is exotic, what you expect from this Baltimore Ravens defense. But it's going to be a tough test for Mahomes. It'll be the most difficult test for Mahomes and the Chiefs coming up this weekend.
I can't wait for Sunday afternoon. And once again, guys, we'll be right back here to break it all down for you with maybe a trip to the Super Bowl in the future. So for Chase Daniel, I'm Matt Hamilton. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.